Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Diana Skaya. Tensions in Czech politics have reached a boiling point following a public clash between the country's president and defense minister, sparked by allegations of blackmail. Now, as Prime Minister Andrej Babiš's Eurosceptic government, which has vowed to resist NATO's 5% defense spending target, drifts further from President Petr Pavel, strong supporter of military aid to Ukraine, questions are mounting about where Czech politics is headed next. And joining me now to unpack this all is Jan Čulík, senior lecturer at the University of Glasgow. So glad to have you here with us on World Talks here on TVP World. All right, Jan. So now Czech politics here is locked in a power struggle between President Petr Pavel and Prime Minister Andrej Babiš's fragile coalition government. Where is this all heading?
Well, it's a bit of a joke. I have actually been talking to your station on this several times. And of course, the problem is that, as your viewers may remember, when Andrej Babiš won the election in the autumn, he didn't get a majority in parliament. He got only 60 seats in the 200-seat parliament. So he needed to align himself with some other coalition parties, and these parties that he chose are absolutely crazy. One of them is called motorists, and they don't have any policies. The only policy that they have is that they want to support petrol-based cars. And then the other one is SPD, which is a kind of xenophobic, anti-immigration, anti-EU party. And Babiš kind of relies on these. And so there is this incredible kind of scandal or issue that these motorists, basically, apart from the fact that they don't have any program, the only interest that they have is that they want ministerial posts. It's a comedy. Well, tragicomedy rather. So there is this head of this motorist party called Petr Macinka, who's appointed himself as foreign secretary. And now he tries to push through this really controversial figure to the position of foreign secretary. His name is Filip Turek, who is well known for having actually published various Nazi statements, or basically he's a totally discredited character. And the president, Petr Pavel, who is kind of the last remaining person who is normal in Czech politics, basically has been saying that he is not going to accept this Filip Turek into that ministerial post. And there is an interesting question whether actually the Czech president, is a kind of ceremonial role. Whether the Czech president actually does have the right to do this. It is, of course, very sensible not to have a Nazi in a European Union government. There was an interesting Czech commentator this morning, that actually there is this strange recent development, very interesting, that this current president, Petr Pavel, was elected directly by the population. Previous presidents were elected by parliament.
Right.
And this actually gives him power so that maybe he will win. So I forgot to say that Mr. Macinka started sending late at night really brutal, blackmailing text messages to the president.
Let me just interrupt you right there. And this is what I do want to ask you, Jan. So the Prime Minister argues that the messages that were sent don't actually constitute blackmail because they were private. But what's your take on that? I know you were getting into it, so please do tell me, what do you actually think about this?
Well, the Prime Minister Babiš is in a very difficult position because he relies on these crazy parties, and yet they are doing things that he doesn't really want. His policy is to be kind of very vague, it's kind of shilly-shallying, not to do provocative things. Now, today, I think he was saying that he actually wasn't aware of the fact that Macinka sent these private messages to Petr Pavel. But I don't know if somebody texted me saying, "What a nice restaurant you have here. It would be a shame if it burned down," even though if it was a private message. I'm sorry, that's blackmail, isn't it?
Let me ask you this, though. Do you think that Babiš has any real alternative to his current coalition?
Well, this is the problem. At the beginning, I mean, your viewers should know that this government has only been approved by Parliament about 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, all this crazy situation is starting. They haven't even had time to do anything, really. So when, after the elections in October, there was this hope that maybe some party from the outgoing coalition could join them. But of course, there was a lot of kind of animosity amongst the former government and Babiš. And so the only possibility that he had was to actually align himself with these two minor parties. But I have to say that both these parties have only about 7% or 8% support, electoral support. So they are absolutely minor parties. And the fact that they are in the coalition with Babiš, they were given this incredible power. But unfortunately, in both of those parties, the people are not competent enough. I don't want to use any stronger words, but they would be very much in place. I mean, Matsinka shouldn't be in any position of influence. One other interesting thing, if I may, he is connected to the former Czech Prime Minister Václav Klaus, who is now incredibly pro-Russian. And Matsinka has been making various pro-Russian steps. There was also one other very infantile action on the part of Mr. Matsinka. The Czech president promised some fighter planes to Ukraine, which are needed there to shoot down drones. And Matsinka kind of banned it and basically said, I am only banning it because you mentioned it first, President. Had you not mentioned it, I would have allowed it. What kind of behavior is this? Infantile, 5-year-old.
Jan, let me ask you this. How do you think that this entire fallout is spilling into foreign policy for the Czech Republic?
Well, it's interesting. Matsinka has been going he was talking to Mr. Rutte, the head of NATO. Basically, he's trying to force, there's supposed to be some sort of NATO gathering, and he wants to block the president from going there, and he thinks that Babiš should be the prime minister should be going there instead. But interestingly, the news that has been coming in today kind of shows that Matsinka actually on the international sphere is being quite wary. He is not doing these ridiculous things that he's actually saying in the Czech Republic. So maybe they are a little bit more wary. But of course, I mean, you mentioned in your introduction that Babiš's government is cutting down drastically expenditure for the army. I mean, at the time when the whole of Central Europe is threatened by Putin, what are these people doing? And also there has been in this SPD, there has been this anti-European narrative, anti-European propaganda. So they are certainly weird. Now, an interesting point was also two very interesting points. One commentator did a very interesting analysis. It's been pointed out that mostly young males without university education have been voting for this motorist party. And this analysis points out that the problem, and this is actually a more general point, which is applied probably to more countries. If you have people like these young males without university education who work in factories, who don't earn enough money, who feel dissatisfied, it destabilizes the country. And apparently these people have voted for the motorists. They don't mind that the motorists don't have any program, but they basically feel, according to this analysis, we are in trouble. We don't have enough money to live on. We will then vote for a party which will destroy everything, even you who are well off. And this is a worrying thing. This has probably happened in the Czech Republic.
Thank you so much, Jan Čulík, Senior Lecturer at the University of Glasgow, for all your input here with us on World Talks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you for watching this episode of World Talks. I'm Diana Skaya. See you next time.